Hi everyone, I want to show you how you can turn your ideas into really great applications with just one single prompt. For this we're going to use some sophisticated system instructions in Lovable, where we will tell it the kind of process that we want it to use and also things to watch out for. We'll have a powerful prompt that will turn your project description into key markdown files that later on will be the single source of truth for Lovable, and also kind of the memory that ensures it will never forget what is important to you. And last but not least, yet another powerful prompt that turns your markdown files into a really great application from the get-go. So here, let me go to Gemini, where I had a conversation about the kind of app that I wanted to build. It's CodeFrame. Basically, it's an application where you can make really beautiful screenshots for code. Already exists, but I thought it was a nice example to show how it works. So we have a bit of a project description, like what is it that we would expect the application to do. We also describe the target user persona and then a couple of core technical requirements. So we are doing a couple of things now. So first, when I open Lovable, I'm going to create a blank application because we don't want it to do anything just yet because we haven't uploaded the system instructions. So I'm going to hit go, but then right after it, I'm going to hit pause at the bottom. Perfect. I'm also going to give it a better name. So let's just call it CodeFrame. Oop, already exists. Demo. I was testing before, so we have those. Perfect. And now we're going to upload these system instructions. So settings, knowledge, and right now it's empty. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my system instructions here. Oops, perfect. And upload those, save them. Now here on Claude, what I'm gonna do is run yet another prompt that helps me generate those key markdown files that I mentioned earlier. It's gonna ask me for my project description, which I'm getting here from Gemini. And I'm a really big fan of Claude and Claude Code overall. And I'm using the desktop application, which is really handy because it also allows you to download all those files it's going to generate in one go. Now it's asking me for a couple of follow-up questions. So what's the main thing users were going to do? Paste code, style it, download the image. Yes, you got it. Then what's the one piece of information you need from them? Code snippet, and then they can select the language, and the look and feel I want to go for is minimalistic and dark themed. So we're gonna hit go, and now this is going to take a little bit. It's already created most of the documentation, perfect, and now it's asking me for some information about the primary colors. Here you can just, I don't know, upload or tell it what kinds of colors you would want. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload a screenshot that Gemini created earlier. Use this as the basis for the colors. Font should be, guys, just one that I like but still looks very simplistic. So let's go. And while that is loading and generating the different pieces, what we're going to do now is we're going to close the knowledge tab here. That's important. We're going to connect to GitHub, connect my project, view my project on GitHub. And now what we want to do is add a file. And that file is a temporary file because what we actually want to do is create a folder, but because you can't create empty folders on GitHub, we're gonna do a temporary file. First, we're gonna go for /, that's creating the folder, and then we're going to create a temporary file. We don't really need this file, but for now we do. And then once we have all these files here, what we can do is then upload all of them at once. Give it a bit more time. The markdown files that are being generated are 5 ones. The first one is the product vision. So what are you trying to achieve in the first place? Then we have one markdown file that is about app flow and user roles, with one that defines all the pages that we want to create. We have another one that is describing the project design, so the dark themed minimalistic thing that I mentioned earlier. And then another one about the backend. And there's lots of information in the system instructions too about design, the design instructions overall that are not specific to this project. But these files are being generated, and once we have all of them, we're going to upload them, and then it's just another prompt here that will generate the first version. So we can actually already do this now. We're gonna close this, and this is also really important. What you definitely want to do is for prompts that are doing more complicated things or more complex things, you always want to enable the chat functionality first, because even though we prepared all the markdown files and have a great prompt that will help us generate the application from the get-go, we still wanted to kind of think through the entire piece of work before it's just going to start. Here, so you see we have vision, app-flow-and-roles, pages, project design, and backend. We're going to download all of them. Code frame demo. Oops. Perfect. So now here on GitHub, we're going to upload files. Choose the files. These are the ones that we just created. Open them. Commit those changes. And then it's not really necessary, but I like things tidy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the empty temporary file that we needed to create the folder. Perfect. So now when we go back to Lovable, what you see is it is aware of all the changes that we've made. The system instructions are also giving instructions on always kind of read the documentation that you can find in /docs in that folder. And then now what we're doing is we have this really long initial prompt that is helping us generate the first version. So I'm going to hit start now. This is going to take a while. So to avoid that you kind of just watch this application keep thinking and working, I'm going to hit pause and I'll be back in a second. All right, I'm here again. So basically what you missed is after I sent my prompt, it just kept on thinking, then it laid out the entire plan, and then it explicitly said what it will not do, and then also created a testing checklist, which is part of all our instructions and the system instructions. And then I only hit implement the plan, and then it did. And here we are. So we have code that we can directly change. We can select some backgrounds. We can also change the language, but clearly this one is JavaScript. You can also change some of that. Well, this one is not working. We would need one more prompt to change this one. We have Mac, Windows, and also the square or horizontal one. And we can export the PNG. So amazing. I think an entire application from just the system instructions, the markdown files, and then of course also the initial prompt. And now what's great is if I wanted to make something that is in conflict with those markdown files, the system instructions kind of make sure it's always checking against it. And if I want to do something that's conflicting, it would tell me. And then I could either decide not to pursue or say, hey, well, just update my markdown files and continue. I hope this was helpful. And if it was, please let me know. If you have any follow-up questions, also feel free to reach out either via email or on LinkedIn. Bye.